welcome to the Brittany Renee experience. I'm so excited to have you guys back. And we have a fellow guest that we have seen multiple times. She is a dear, dear, beautiful, amazing soul. We have Meg Kittredge on with us today, and we are going to dive into the collective because we both were just chatting before we hopped on here. And whoo, it is intense right now. So, Meg, welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back.
So, we're laughing because there are generations of awakenings, right? Generations of the healers, generations that are coming online, some before others. And the word that we learn in this experience is constantly surrender. It's constantly
Mhm.
finding that release in the expansion. And I am going to speak personally, and then I will toss it over to you to let you share as well. But it is really wild to me how right now collectively it feels like the layer of surrender that we're in is more multi-dimensional. It feels like wide than deep. Like I'm seeing all of it, I'm feeling it, but it feels like there are so many compartments and so many layers and so many doors within my beliefs, my programming, all of my thought forms, my systems, and I know them. It's like I've got this whole warehouse and I know all the rooms, I know all of these pieces, but now there's like a smaller door inside that room that I'm like, oh, well, what's this? What's here? And it's also this everything all at once energy and learning how to embody my groundedness in that feeling. It just feels like it's kind of constantly expanding and then we're integrating and then there's something collapsing and it's expanding again and we're integrating and then it's collapsing. And the speed that we're doing this feels faster than we've ever done it. Like I feel like there can be a day and I've gone through three different like resets in that day and I'm like, cool, I woke up and I've lived like three other lifetimes already and here we are and it's 5 o'clock.
Oh
So
my gosh. I totally relate to everything that you're saying, especially in the direction that it's moving. And I also feel that call to embodying groundedness through these like rapid rebirth cycles that we're doing. It also feels like an overarching message to really be drawing from within. There's this big kind of internal sourcing happening. And sometimes that can feel really challenging, especially when you're in it and when you're in the depths of it. It can be difficult to remember what it feels like to like be moving in that more that lighter, more expansive energy where this is so much introspection. I'm seeing rainbows as I'm talking about this. Interesting.
mm,
Um the digging. It's like, oh my God. And for me, it's been a personal message of like really allowing everything. I am really into personal development and as I know that you are, and continuing to grow and continuing to get better. And now spirit's really calling us toward, for me anyway, my experience has been into the heart more. Like, where are we really connecting? How can we utilize these deeper perspectives to really plug into our 3D and plug into our community? And what does that look like? And that can be challenging too when it's like still so dark night of the soul, especially in the summertime, at least here in the west or northern hemisphere. um it almost feels incongruent with a natural cycle, the way that we see it through the seasons, and that I've found to be a little bit challenging, if I'm going to be honest.
I totally agree. I am on vacation with my kids right now, and we're literally on the beach,
Mm.
beautiful setting. And
Yeah.
I'm finding myself oscillating between gratitude intensely of just like, this is so beautiful, waking up to sunshine, being, in the elements, to then also, swinging into this deep inner reflective space of, am I really where I want to be? Everything that I've done up to this point, like, what does that mean? How do I serve? And that is really honestly for me, what's coming up the most is service,
Mm.
because it's been so clear before. And now I'm feeling like I have so many things that I can do in this spiritual realm, in this guidance space. how do I do that? And what do I want to
Mm,
do? So on one hand, it's like exciting because it's like, well, we could really do anything. We know that, right? We've become the
mm.
alchemists to know we can really do whatever we want to do. But like, what is that that's lighting me up? Because it isn't what it was before.
Oh, girl. And I relate. Nothing we have talked about so clearly resonates as much as what you just said. It's kind of, if what's coming through is like, where's my container? Like, where am I plugging this new, beautiful, embodied energy that I have access to? Because when I try to plug it into the creations that I've already built, there's a dissonance there, and it doesn't quite land. And I'm seeing that being reflected as as the results kind of come out of those energetic interactions.
Yes.
And yeah, it's like this big, and I think, the last time we talked, we we were feeling this, and it was really kind of the tip of the iceberg. Like, I definitely, looking back a few weeks ago, it's like, oh, we didn't even know what we were in for. um and yeah, there's a little bit, I've noticed a lot of internal grief coming up during this time, and that may
Mm,
be just kind of releasing creations that are no longer in alignment. And what does that mean? And what does that mean about me and what I'm doing? And like all the existential questions. And that's scary to
it is
pursue
scary.
something new. Yeah.
It is. And I think we've known this, and I think it's so interesting to see the evolution happen because we've known for a while that we were going to hit this boom in consciousness. Like we have more people awake and aware every day. And we also know that like we have poured our heart and soul and time and energy into certain creations that meant everything and so much. And now to step into those same spaces and feel whether it be you've outgrown it or just utter grief because it's not your space anymore, or grief and gratitude at the same time. It's just like this scale that I'm feeling too. And even in my membership, I've got my community, and that has been my foundation of my business from day one.
Mm,
And I'm reworking the community, which I've been saying forever. I'm like, oh, we're going to do this. And I'm finally like, I actually have to. There's no other way at this point because
mm,
I can't show up for anyone out of my authenticity and out of my integrity of wanting to be there because everyone feels that, and that doesn't feel good for me. And I just don't jive in that space. So I, have been working and tweaking the membership for the past 6 months, and now we're shifting it even more. And everybody in there, it's interesting to see. Half of them are really excited and they're like, we've been waiting for these shifts and these like movements. And there's another part of people who are kind of like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand. And you're watching even within your own container, probably like there's a lot happening that is that domino effect from my
mm,
choices to all of the people that I'm working with, guiding, leading, and then having to hold all of that as well and still not feeling like I'm 150% yet in where I am, but I'm just knowing I have to move. So it's this very, I feel like I'm walking on sand. I feel like it's like, oh, I've kind of got footing and then I'm kind of slipping and then I've got footing and then I'm slipping.
oh,
But each slip, it's really just this like, am I going the right direction
mm,
energy? And it's like, I'm realizing my mindset that we have been coaching and talking about. I mean, our TikToks are all about our mindset
mm,
and everything, right? I'm having to really see in a different way how to work my mindset that I've never worked before. Like in a
mm.
very, I don't even know how to put words to like what it feels like.
Yes. I relate to that. And it's similar to, really any rebirthing process when the tools that worked really well and felt really inspiring just don't anymore. And we're needing to find new ones. And, I'm recalling other times in my life where I've gone through major transformations, and it is always preceded with this sort of feeling of this kind of feeling around in the dark, what works, what doesn't. And there is a gratitude, we'll call it a gratitude remembrance sort of happening for those times that I've done that. So I do have access to that a little bit. I'm like, okay, like I know that this will be followed with a new exciting expansion and kind of that arriving sort of feeling. But in this time of like searching around what feels good, what doesn't, is this in alignment? Meanwhile, you're rebirthing 1,000 times a day. Things that felt good this morning don't necessarily feel good right now. And
Really easy to run a business like that, y'all. Let me just tell
oh
you,
my God, this is fine.
it's fun.
um and so, God, it's just so relatable on so many levels, this thing that we're doing in this spiritual community and leading and reformation and all of those things. Life is still life, and there are still challenges, and there's still growth opportunities, and that continues to happen. And so we talked about surrender in the beginning. It's like that's where that really comes in. And for me, the big question has been like, well, how am I plugging into my own spirituality? It's really easy, like running a business, especially where I'm consistently speaking about spiritual concepts, to, it feels like I'm kind of always in that world. But like, what is my own connection looking like right now? Like, what does my relationship to source look like? Um, how is that kind of soothing what it is that I'm trying to create?
Hmm. Exactly. I've been feeling that too. And, I think it's a blessing in a lot of ways. And at times it makes it a little difficult to hold and house all of the knowledge and the downloads and the awareness that conscious beings do, because we know there isn't one way to do something. And so it's kind of,
Mhm.
for me, it's been forcing myself to be more present and more in play.
Mm,
Okay, I'm feeling stagnant or I'm feeling stuck or I'm feeling a lot of grief. Like, how do I acknowledge this, let it move through me, and now shift and alchemize it into something different? And it is leaning into that toolbox of consciousness and mindfulness of what in this toolbox can work, because what worked, yeah, this morning might not work this afternoon, or what worked last week might not work tomorrow. So, the beautiful thing is, I do think that our generation of leaders, we're really coming into a really deep level of embodiment. Like, we've been playing the embodiment game and card, and we've been like, we're getting it. And now a spirit has been like, are you? Here's the
mhm,
next level.
mhm,
It's really, I've I've never up until this last year experienced like so many emotions at one time simultaneously. Like,
mhm,
normally it would be like, I'm just in grief or I'm just really on cloud nine in gratitude. And now it's like, I can be really, really in gratitude while simultaneously feeling deep amounts of grief. And that is a duality point that I'm grateful for, and I'm still not fully embodied in yet, because it feels like I'm on a tightrope in that of like,
mhm.
stay in your truth, watch your mindset, be in softness, have grace. Like, it's all of these things looping over and over and over. And I'm just like, I want to have a moment to just be human. And at the same time, the spiritual side of me, the mindful, conscious side of me has these loops going on. And I'm really noticing that too. And I'm like, we came here to be in a human experience. We came here to experience what this planet has to offer. And where is the like middle ground? Like, that's been something I've really been searching, is we can never go back to just being a normal quote unquote human. Like, we are past that point. Like,
Yeah.
that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
But, also being in hyperdrive of spirituality isn't always the game either. And especially,
Mhm.
we're mothers. And as a mom, I mean, you want to talk about getting ripped back into like another dimension, like our children will pull and tug on us all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
maintaining momentum is something that, especially being a mother and um moving in creation, especially, with a business, and what direction am I going? And then there's a young child who's also needing your attention. And I relate so deeply to having different parts of myself feeling so strongly in its experience, and learning to hold all of those parts. It's like, on one hand, it is teaching me to be in a place of observance. And then on the other hand, it's like, we're called, you and I especially, and I'm sure so many of us that are listening, to be these deep feelers
Yeah.
and to experience. And we're here to come and to heal. And there's ancestral trauma that we thought we processed, and oop, there it is. And like just carrying all of this stuff. And again, that's kind of where I come back to source. It's like, well, where am I supposed to be moving? There's so many things happening. And, maybe that's kind of the question, is like, well, am I supposed to be moving right now? Is it okay? Can I allow myself to have permission to just be in that process? And can I trust that, like, the process of creation will still be there following the rest and following the process? And that's something that I personally really struggle. Like, I joke that a lot of times projects or relationships will often have like claw marks all over them by the time that I'm done,
Mm,
because I really sometimes I like letting go of that stuff can be so challenging because there's so much identity wrapped up
yes.
in it.
That is huge. The identity piece is huge. I feel like
Mhm,
that has been quite literally, I think for me that is. Thank you for putting words to that, because I've been
mhm,
searching. I'm like, what is it that I'm navigating? And it
mhm,
feels like surrender, it feels like embodiment, but it really does feel like identity. Like
mhm.
who am I now? And what does that look like, and how does she move? And I love getting dosed my own medicine, because this is literally what I preach and what I've been doing for the last 3 months
Oh,
in person in retreats is like,
yeah.
who are you? Who's that embodied version? And now,
Mhm.
that has come to a pause because I'm spending time with the kids and I'm offline for summer, but I'm also online with myself, having to ask myself that same question of who am I right now? Is everything I've been doing working? Is it not? And I totally get you with the not wanting to release certain things or having claw marks on them. What is your human design? Do you know?
Manifesting generator.
I was gonna say I knew you were a manage. And that's, it's interesting too, because human design came to me really, really heavily, probably like 6 months ago. And I'm a
Mhm,
projector. And I didn't really lean into any of that. But once I started to, I was like, oh, I am like hardcore projector. Like, I need
mhm,
my sleep. I have to wake up slow. I do not like to be rushed. I have to work in spurts, like, very
mhm,
much everything about it. I'm like, this makes sense. And for you, even what you're speaking, like with being a Manny Jin, like
mhm.
the energy that you can output is intense, while also that manifester side has to have rest cycles. And I feel like
Yes.
mannequins are the hardest, because the generators are the energizer bunnies, and the manifestors can also be that in bursts. But then you have to have that rest period, and to hold that generator profile still, it's a lot. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot about like, how do I replenish? And because there is the desire to be in consistent output, and that's a worthiness wound there for me
Yes.
too, that it's like that. And that's always what comes up, which is probably why I'm like, who am I, every time I need to take a nap. um but it's like, I want to be, as an artist, it's like I want to be creating, I want to be producing. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a stepmother. So there is this element in my life where I am having to consistently produce, whether I feel
Whether
like
you
it
want
or
to or not.
not.
Yeah.
Um, and all of my children are extremely expressive. They all require so much love. And so I've built a lot of these emotional muscles to like be available to them and to show up in the way that I need to and to consistently have things done. And then, it comes time to really move within myself and who I want to be. And I hit that wall. And oh my gosh, so the resistance that will come up in me sometimes. And so that's kind of what the last month has been about, is like learning that everything will be okay when I need to go into that rest period. Like, it's not, needing rest isn't like a moral failing. It's a very human
Not at all.
experience. Yeah.
I mean, rest is, I think in general, even, for those of you listening who do not know anything about human design, especially if you're a parent, rest is guilt driven, I think, for the longest time.
Yeah.
The laundry should be done. I should be doing something here. I should be doing something there. And it's like, even if you're laying down, but your mind is beating itself up and running marathons, like you're not resting. You're just sitting still for a moment. But learning how to rest is really important. And I too have been in that interesting spot and being, the breadwinner, the only income in my household, and really learning the deepest trust of my business mind tells me I should be creating something, right? Because this client is ending here, this is ending here. So, money and financially wise, I should be building something to be pitching. It's like my marketing and business mind is going in this track. And right now, in my experience, I just keep hearing like, you need to slow down, you need to do less, you need to hang out more, you need to just be present. So I'm getting opposite pieces. And so I've been really watching like just my mind and like where it's going and what's happening and allowing myself to unplug and rest as much as I can while also being in this trust that I'm never led incorrectly. Every time I go into prayer, every time I meditate, every time I ask spirit and God, like, what do I need to do? If I listen, I'm always brought to the correct spaces. It's when I'm pushing against it that it either takes that so much longer to get to me or whatever else. But rest is huge right now. And I think a lot of people are navigating this new identity, this new awareness, whether they're completely new to spirituality and consciousness and they're like, what is astrology, and their minds are getting blown by that stuff, or you're over here in this generation and we already have businesses and we're leading all kinds of people in mindset and consciousness, and we're even finding new identities. So rest is needed no matter where you are on the spectrum. And I really would invite you, like, if you are struggling with your mind with rest, start to play and explore with like sounds or things that can help you. Like for me, I actually found one of my clients listens to brown noise, and I
Oh,
didn't even know this
the
color noise
bees.
thing. Are
Yes.
you aware of this?
I am aware of this. I really like I'm a white noise girly. I actually in truth, I consistently listen to Harry Potter, like just as a background. I don't know what
I
it is.
love
Like the
that.
Audible, the guy's name is Jim Dane. I just love how he speaks. My husband makes fun of me constantly for it. But yes, so the background noise, like I think bees fall in the category of brown noise.
Mhm.
But all of that is so soothing, especially for when the mind is really kind of doing, like, my mind's really loud when I'm processing things. Like, it's just always kind of talking. And I can even be somebody who just like needs to sit and stare at the wall while
Yes.
my mind just goes. And meditation sometimes helps with it. But really, it's the internal awareness that that's even happening. So sometimes that can feel really heavy. One of the things that you were talking about before with this, just this consistent cycling and identity and how we're all on different levels, but we're all experiencing this. It's helpful for me to remember as well that that's really what we're supposed to be doing. Like, it feels good to reach goals and to be creating a certain life experience, but at least I resonate with the idea that we come here to expand and it's never going to be done. And just because we're reaching a new level doesn't inherently hold any more value than another one, because we come to experience the
Yeah.
density and the light as a result. And that's really our whole job. And so, like, fear of failure is one that will come up for me a
Yeah.
lot, especially around production and can I allow myself to rest? And it's helpful to remember that those of us that awaken, a lot of times we can't really help it. Like, even if everything were to fall apart, even if things were to look completely different a year from now, it's in our nature to rise up and to
Mhm.
reform and to create something entirely new. Like, that is just who we are as people. And I am so grateful to be part of a community that is like that. And sometimes those are the best. Those are the best ones after those big tower things falling apart.
Girl, I mean, you were a deep part of my tower this past year of,
Mm,
you know, I poured into this relationship 150%. And when I stepped away from that,
mm,
that was where I really experienced that duality for the first time of like, I am so grateful and I have so much love for this space, this experience, this person, while simultaneously experiencing like the deepest grief. And some people were like, well, it's really anger. And I'm like, it's actually not. Like, I'm
mm,
not mad. I'm just sad. And it's, sad for multitudes of reasons and all of these layers. But all of the timelines of my life that I was looking at, it felt like literally within a moment were just like collapsed. And it's like, and here we
mm.
are. And now we're building completely new ones. And I, got kind of checked by a friend of mine actually a couple weeks ago. And he was like, a song came on and I started getting emotional about it. And it was weird because I have processed through that relationship like deeply at this point. And it really came up for me. And I just made the comment, and was like, this is weird that this is kind of coming up, but I'm also just acknowledging it. And he said, you did let yourself be messy. You did let yourself be in the human experience of like the grief and all of that. And you
Mm.
let yourself really move through it. And also, you kept running. He's like, and
Oh,
I mean, running with like, you put on an event 2 months later, you still like
ah,
built your business and your rebrand, you relaunched things in your community. He's like, you didn't take a pause. You went like straight
yes.
through it. You were on fire, but you were still running. And he's like, so maybe because we were out in this cabin in like the mountains and it was just this very kind of like unplug type of time. So the reflection that kind of came to me was when I'm now here, which ironically, I am back in the same grid that I haven't been in since that relationship with the
Mhm,
kids. And I'm really aware that that came up about 2 weeks ago for me to be super present right now in this
mm,
space and to just not try to run through, like, oh, I could do 15 things. It's like, no, let's just drop in and be in the elements. Let's be with the kids. Let's be here and be
mhm,
present and actually have a rest period that I actually haven't really had because even though I've been traveling, I'm working, I'm laptops up, phones up, content's being created. I'm constantly moving. And so I've been really mindful of trying to just be as present as possible.
mhm,
And it is a lot. It is so much to be able to just listen and tune in and shift and drop into the experience where you need to be. But we're totally going in 15 circles. The noise piece, for me, I found this one called Honey Lavender.
mm,
Which I didn't even, I'm like, of course, I just like the name. But then I put it on and I was like, it's like white noise, but it's a little bit, it's like a different tone and it's a little like deeper.
mhm,
It has been amazing. And I've kind of been like playing it at night, and the kids and I are sleeping super well. And for me, I have like tribal music on a lot, or
mhm.
tones, or flutes, or something, because that's always just super calming. But I love that you play Harry Potter. That is,
Yeah. At night, I'm an ocean girly. I listen to that a lot. It like satisfies my sounds so lame, but like my mermaid roots. I miss when the mermaid thing wasn't a meme.
I have seen
um,
mermaids non-stop, given
yeah.
I'm like down here in Florida, but it's one of
Mhm,
those like spirits screaming something about mermaids, and I'm like, okay,
mhm.
what's going on? I see you. They're everywhere.
I totally I hold such a deep resonance with the ocean and that sort of
Mhm.
and that's kind of I've experienced a few different elemental energies, but the water one was really big. Now it feels like it's moving into this more earth grounding energy, but water we so often think of it as like fluid and it's playful and it moves around, but like the ocean is not like that. It's like these deep, rich, powerful tides. Like there is no avoiding that. And that seems to be, and that's one of the reasons I connect so deeply with them, um, is like learning to move with those and releasing resistance to the direction that we're going. Especially, I relate so much and was having, our experiences so often track and we're going through similar things at similar times. And I was as well, as you know, and I'm kind of coming into a completion with that. I don't think I've publicly shared about it, but my husband and I lost a pregnancy in November.
Mm.
And I had had several years ago, a really traumatic loss of pregnancy. So then when this one came, I was like, I'm good. I've processed that trauma. My business is ramping up. Like, I don't have time for that. And we were like at an event literally as it was happening. Like, I was just like, could not deal with that. And then over the last couple weeks, I'm like, oh my God, like this is around the time that I would have given birth. And like all of a sudden, it's like
Oh.
so deeply in my awareness. And it's like through really around April, life that was like really intense and things have really softened since then. And this is one of the things that I like work with so deeply with my clients is like it's really in the times that are peaceful that the trauma is coming up to be healed because it feels safe enough to. And there are parts of me that are eternally frustrated by that. I'm like, I feel like I finally made it. Like, this is supposed to be a time of peace. Why am I processing all of these things? But that's again where it comes back into that trust, like the
Mhm.
relaxation, the ability to have space to process and to be in a state of relaxation. Like that's all part of the things that we're trying to create. Like it's not just the beautiful home and family and relationship and a house on the beach. Like it's the peace that accompanies all of
Mhm.
that. And we cannot create that if we're not allowing ourselves to be in it. And it makes me, when I can think of God as like a being, it's kind of like when I'm trying to get my daughter to put on shoes because I know that we're going to the park and she's going to have a great time, but she does not want to put on her shoes because they feel restricting. Like I feel like I'm kind of in a lot of the people that I'm working with are in that kind of energy right now. It's like,
Mhm.
how can I allow things to be done for me and be in that deep state of trust?
Mm. So much resonance with this.
Mhm.
And I think too that the at least my kids, and I feel like you probably resonate with this, they reflect so much to me of my experience, like in
Yes.
their own little ways. But I will notice, like, if I'm really tense, they will have days that just it's like we're screaming, we're off the wall, it's too much. Yeah, shoes. No, that cup's bigger than
Mhm.
his cup. It's like the littlest things.
Yeah.
But it also to me is like such a beautiful reflection when I allow it to be because I'm like, okay, this is the energetic that's floating around me. They are feeling it. They're now in their own space. And I do think it is really present in the embodiment piece right now of we've been seeing, on social media and however, like I've even been doing this in my own space is really showcasing and sharing what you can have from being embodied, from being in your authenticity, from being in your truth, from being an entrepreneur, right? These beautiful material type of things and experiences. And I'm watching and feeling it shift to deeper inner embodiment. It's not as
Mhm.
much of the like, look at this, look at that. It's very much like, who are we? Who am I? And I love that. And I posted, I think this morning or last night about embodiments, all of you. It's the deep, dark, sticky, shadowy parts, and it's the bright and shiny parts. And how amazing is it, though, that when we find these moments of peace, that we can feel safe to process that trauma, right? Even that is a
Mhm.
gift because there are many people that are living in fight, flight, freeze consistently. I was one of them, and I was never processing anything. I
Mhm.
was just living out trauma and living out, trigger, and it was escapism. It was just, I was drinking, I was partying, I was doing all these things and coming into being able to actually process the trauma, even if it's on a vacation and you're in this super peaceful, serene space, like how beautiful of a gift really is that to be able to do that? Because that
Oh,
is
yeah.
it really pulls the roots up and allows you to be like, and we're complete.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. The subtle essence of like catharsis, I think, is such a gift too. Like that to me is kind of the pinnacle of embodiment. It's when all of those pieces feel honored and seen, and grief has happened and release has happened. And it's like, it's for me, it's a sense of total permission. And
Mhm.
then the introduction of gratitude, because as we know, that's really the way to move through anything is appreciation. And once that can start to come in through allowance, it really, that's when things really start to shift for me. And I'm getting glimpses of that like toward the end of this process. And those feel really good. And then with back in we go. And yeah,
I know. I feel like we get like 15s, right? We're just taking a
yeah,
15, like, oh,
yeah.
we're oscillating over here. We're gonna go back into the depths in a minute, but we're just checking out what's up here. And I would say too, though, that collectively, I do feel like I am having to constantly remind myself, and I feel like this should maybe be spoken out a little bit, is that because we do have so many of us awakening and embodying different layers and different levels, it isn't about I'm above or you're below wherever you are in your process. It is very much clearly just about the frequency that, like, we have
Mhm,
so many frequencies and vibrations rising that the whole collective is rising. So every time one level or person starts to ignite, it is like a domino. And so I'm like, what
mhm,
do we expect is going to happen over the next year and a half when everyone continues? We're coming into a lot of energy. We're coming into this election. Who knows what this is going to bring, because the political side of things, which is totally not my game, I cannot even talk politics for 5 minutes. However, energetically, that has continued to be a trigger of awakening for people where they're like,
mhm,
what is actually happening here? And so I feel like that is one of those kind of human, worldly, earthly pieces that is about to trigger another part of awakening. So I'm like, we better just get real comfortable. Like I told my community, I said, buckle up, buttercup, because we are just like in the ride and you can't get off the ride. You have to just ride the ride. And it's
mhm,
beautiful. I see like a roller coaster, and it's like there's beautiful highs that you get to see, like all of this amazing, sight. And then you dip down and it's really scary for a minute, but then you come back up and it's like, you're constantly in this ebb and flow. And that is who I've tried to kind of identify with. Like that's the identity that I found, is like I can ride the waves. I know that. Like I can, whether it's the mermaid or we're embodying dragon or just that essence within those beings, it's I can be comfortably on this ride because I have a full toolkit to know that whatever comes up, I'm going to be able to face. Or I have tribe around me that if I'm like, I don't know what to do right now, I know I have beings that can support me. And so that is like really a foundational piece of my personal, like, who am I right now, is like, I can be super grateful. I can be in my grief. I can be messy. I can be loud. I can be quiet. I can be introspective. I can be leading. I can be the student. Like, really just identifying these little pieces of like, I can be all of the things safely, consciously, embodied. And when I just keep allowing that to kind of build that foundation, I'm like, eventually the walls come up on a house, right? It's like the foundation's poured. Now, like, what gets built from that? And that's what it feels like I'm stepping into, is that next layer of like, what are the walls of this new house looking like? It feels like we're out of the old completely to me. Like there's no, it's not even a chapter. It's like we're past that book series. We're onto something totally different now. And I feel like there is so much still coming, but I don't have full sight on what that looks like. And what I think I'm seeing doesn't feel immediate. It feels like 2 to 3 years down the line. So I'm like,
mhm.
what's happening between here and there? Like what happens in that middle ground?
Yeah. Well, life. And that's that's where it is. How can I feel inspired and embodied and at peace with things being in between?
Mhm.
And, because of course we were looking for those big pinnacle exciting moments, but it really is the in-between space of learning to be in appreciation. That's where we spend most of our life. And that's at least where I feel like I'm being called right now. And you've
Mhm.
mentioned to be in presence with all of those energies.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think too, it's for me, it is I'm finding my struggle in being present is the entrepreneurship part of me being like, well,
Oh,
it's time to birth something though, and like, how can you fully just let go of that and be present and simultaneously having to acknowledge, I do have a membership with over 100 people. I do have one-on-one clients, I have a great social media presence. Can that be enough for now?
hmm. Oh, I, it's like you're inside my brain.
I feel like we're inside each other's brains. I watched
Uh,
some of your videos lately and
exactly.
I'm like, mm-hmm,
Yeah. Yep.
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's one of those things, like especially with TikTok. I don't know if it's like suppression or what, but I've just experienced like a lot of my like the regular kind of outcomes that I was seeing from my TikToks really starting to look a lot differently than they did. And that's been a source of those big questions for me. I'm like, is this my platform? What am I doing? Are these,
Yes.
can I allow myself to move into a new beginning with something and release the attachment to it while also experiencing gratitude?
Mm,
Hmm.
so much. And that is, I think we are about to take some leaps that are going to be very different. And I
Hmm.
feel very similar about the TikTok piece. I mean, you and I have talked about this, there's a lot of other platforms that have been around for a while that are still very strong. And it's going to be really beautiful, I think, to see, what comes because as we know, right, I think it's as soon as we do allow ourselves to just let go really deeply and just trust and be in the flow and be like, I don't know how this is all working, but it's going to be okay. That it's not very long after that that there becomes very deep clarity of like, this is the step, this is where you needed to be. So, anyone who's listening, if you have been feeling super lost, super and lots of polar opposite energies and emotions and dualities. You are not crazy. You have not messed anything up. You have not missed the mark. And it's really important right now to just stay as grounded as you can. And I love that you mentioned the water and the earth. Water was huge for me too. And it feels like Gaia is like deep, like soil, sand, earth energy is calling to me more than it ever has. So, being grounded in that is really important. And the baseline, I think, also of mindful living, conscious living has also been really present of like, are you creating a ritual of like romanticizing your life? Even if it is like, my house is a mess, the dishes are piled up, but like, I am really in a state to be able to be solid within myself. I can be here present with my kids, and really being in this space of gratitude and presence in a way that isn't beating yourself up and in a way that is allowing yourself to be human and a soul who is aware of all these big ethereal things, but you also can just like have a day that is totally a quote human day and let that be okay. Like, let it be enough. It's really important to have grace right now. I think that's like the biggest thing in the collective is just have grace because we are all of us, leaders, students, all of our different parts of us, we are all in a transition right now. And I don't think the transition's ending like anytime super, super soon, but I do think we're going to be getting more clarity here. Come fall, August feels like we're going to have a lot more clarity and a lot more groundedness on what's happening.
Yeah, I'm kind of already starting to like, I get the smell of change around August. In the fall time, like I'll get it's kind of a clairaudience thing, which is clear smelling, kind of like clear seeing. Um, for those of you who are listening, where I'll notice like I kind of get a whiff of like a pumpkin spice latte, or I get like
Mm.
just the energy around the fall. It feels really invigorating and really exciting. So maybe we'll see some big energetic shifts around that time. I hope so.
Me too. It's my favorite season. It's one of the
Mm,
reasons I'm like, I would love to live, like in the sunshine all the time, but I love fall. It is my
mm.
favorite.
Oh my
The
God.
leaves, the weather, pumpkin spice
Hmm.
lattes. I am that one who's like, I want that.
Oh, they're so good. Whatever. They're that good.
I love it. Oh, goodness. Our hour flies by. Is there anything else you wanted to lean into or any other guidance you want to throw into the
Mm,
episode today?
yeah. I really just want to invite into this collective just that sense of community, that there is so much being thrown around, that the collective consciousness really is a real thing. And the more people you bump into and the more people you connect to, we can realize that we really are all moving through so much of this together. And I know that society looks a lot different than it used to, but there is so much community available and so much love available. And it really is a matter of dropping down and rooting into the quiet within self and the quiet behind all of the noise. And as much processing as there is to do, and as much duality as there is peace available in every moment. And dropping into the body and dropping into our connection with source really does help.
Hmm. I love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here today, my love. I'm so
Thank you
glad to
for
have you
having me.
on. Yeah, and if everybody, feels called to, if anyone feels called, I should say, to drop any questions, as usual, you can drop them down in the comments and we will tune back in. All of Meg's information and how to find her and her channel and her beautiful work and messages will also be in the description. And we will see you guys soon. Love you so much, and I will see you next time on the Brittany Renee Experience.